Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, or whatever the case may be in your part of the world. Hopefully, I have dealt with the issues that plagued me 2 days ago. Only time will tell. We're going to wait a second or two. I know Isaac Tom is wrapping up and will be joining us. And the first thing on my agenda today is actually a question for you folks, so I might as well wait for the rest of you folks to show up. Who do we have? We have Regulus Valken. That's a new name. I don't recognize that one, but welcome. Thank you for coming. Are you new to just following this stream, or new to World Anvil? I also get to deal with my wonderful lag issues here. So the one thing I'm still having trouble getting comfortable with is the delay between me talking to you, you hearing me, you typing, me seeing the result. Okay, the stream is new to you. Okay. Well, hopefully it will be enjoyable, and hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully you'll last long enough to get passed on to the next person. If you're not familiar with the whole Anvilite Streamer Core thing, pretty much out of nowhere, a bunch of us World Anvil folks at the start of summer camp all decided, why don't I stream this while I do this work? And literally overnight, we went from having maybe 2 or 3 regular World Anvil members that were streaming to a calendar that is almost but not quite 24 hours by 7 days a week. I think we're up to 40 streamers on the calendar now, or something like that. So it's definitely gotten crazy, and it's fun. It's a blast, and everything's different, and we all have our different takes on things. A lot of us do similar things, but the flavor is different for every different person. Before I go any further, are volumes okay for you guys? I made a few adjustments to my OBS settings just to hopefully head off, like I said, the problems that I had during the last stream. I don't know if you guys can see a difference in resolution, but I did cut some of the resolution parameters in OBS. I don't know how much they're going to affect what Twitch is, by the time Twitch is done compressing and moving stuff around too. So I don't know if you can see a difference or not. If you can, I hope it's not so bad. I am in the process of replacing my 12-year-old desktop. So, here comes the raid. I knew it was coming. Okay, and here comes everybody. Perhaps you should take part in case you can get over your public speaking fears. This is one of the easiest ways to get over public speaking fears, because obviously I am speaking to you folks, but I'm speaking to a little black thing sitting on top of my monitor. or while looking at a chat window. All right, I'm not looking at a sea of faces that are staring back at me. It's easier than you think to get past the stage fright aspect of things. Isaac's on a sandwich raid. Yeah, I was over there until just a minute or two before the stream started, and there was actually that sandwich discussion lasted almost your whole 2 hours, didn't it, Isaac? On and off, at least. What we were discussing the science, culture, and religion of what is and is not a sandwich. There was a half-hour gap, yeah. And the biggest question was, is a hot dog a sandwich? So, maybe, what do you think? What are the chances we can keep the is a hot dog a sandwich discussion going for the next 24 hours? we'll pass that off from stream to stream, as well as as well as just passing the streamer torch. So we'll see what's going on. Okay, so thank you all for coming. Thank you all for rating. Let's see, did I miss anything? Lots and lots of raid folk coming in. I think we're all caught up. It was legitimately started by a philosophy class and a demonstration of Aristotelian discourse. Yeah, is a taco a sandwich? Oh, there's another new one. I'm not sure. Yeah, if the shell breaks at the bottom, then it becomes a sandwich, right? Well, no, I think we discussed with Isaac that you're allowed to fold a piece of bread over the contents, and it's still a sandwich. So in that case, a taco is a sandwich right from the very beginning. Is a wrap a sandwich? There's another question. When does it stop being a sandwich and start being a wrap? Because that opens up a whole new category. All right. So anyway, let's get started. First of all, let me ask a few questions. How is everybody doing in summer camp? How many articles do we have? How many articles do we need? How many are we trying to get? Summer camp isn't about necessarily completing 33 prompts. If you have the time and desire to get 10 done, great. Then if you get your 10 done, you've achieved your goal. If your desire is to get 2 done, then great, you've achieved your goal. Okay, so Tillers, 21.5 out of 33. Yeah. More mouse and cheese stuff incoming. Kitoi Poi, 23 out of 33. Regulars are up to 25, very good. You got silver last time. You want to go for diamond? Yeah, that's the new one. This is my first summer camp, by the way. Isaac at 25, good. All right. Well, anybody at 25, you're on the one per day pace, which means you're allowed to maintain that pace until the last day. On the last day, you got to get 2 in. Because we actually, technically, we have, I think, 32 days. Well, I don't know. I'd have to actually go back and do the math and see when did we actually start. We started on the 1st. We end on I guess it's 31 days to get 33 prompts. But they're giving us the last set on the 30th, so we have 48 hours to get the last 3 done. So that should be an interesting scramble for people. Oh wait, the points. I continue to forget about that. Okay, so coffee quills. Let's see. Today was a day off, trying for 33, but happy to get as many. Yeah, I mean that's again, the whole point of this is. Oh, I got a hydrate alert there. Thank you. The whole point of this is to encourage all of us to put a little more meat on the bones of our worlds. All right, and the prompts are kind of designed to do that, to make you think about interesting things to put in your world. And the ultimate beneficiary of this whole exercise is us, as we go on with building out the worlds. Kidapoi, trying to figure out my condition with a cure is too creepy, and I should take something else. That's actually one of the 2 that I have up as a possibility for me today. Yeah, why too creepy? Coffee Quills asks. I guess it depends on what the condition is. I've got 2 choices of articles that I would like to work on today, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide which one I should work on. So you get to decide what it is you hear me rambling about while we're doing our writing sprints. My 2 choices. I have 3 left to go, by the way, in this group. I have 27 done. But I'm saving one because I really haven't hashed that one out in my mind. The two that I have up as possibilities today, I've at least got pretty good ideas on, so they should flow when I start writing, but we'll see. The first one is an article I will title "The Superior Firepower." I'm building an RPG campaign setting world. There are, this is, sword and sorcery style, era, magic and all that kind of good stuff. Of course, there are no firearms, but there are catapults, and there are alchemists capable of putting really fun explosive devices onto catapults for launching. By the point of the time point that I'm writing, everybody has catapults, but the dwarves have the best ones, and the reason they have the best ones is because they've figured out that if they make their torsion ropes out of a particular harvested kind of spider silk, that they can build catapult and build the arms and things out of iron instead of out of wood, so they don't crack under the stresses. They can build catapults that can launch 2 to 3 times farther than the typical enemy catapult, which of course gives them a big advantage, not only on the battlefield, but also at sea. For those of you, again, who are following me, who have seen my stuff, that I have created a sub-race of seafaring dwarves. Their ships will be armed with catapults and ballistae that can shoot farther than any other sea-based catapults and ballistae, which will make them especially devastating on the sea. So, like I said, so the one choice will be the technology article. A technology that's been around. Catapults have been around for a long time, but it's only in the past, some shorter period, I haven't decided yet, that the dwarves have figured out this spider silk trick to make their catapults superior. So that's choice 1. Choice 2 is my condition that's being cured. The difference is my condition is not one that affects people individually. It is a condition that was created as the result of a curse delivered by priests of evil gods 2,000 years ago, at a time when the whole world was in the middle of a big god war, and of course when the gods fight, all the people fight too. This curse was basically spread across the land, and it killed growing plants and growing things. It was particularly designed to, the orcish priests who were laying it out thought it was designed as a way to destroy the forests of the elves, who the orcs particularly hate. But the god who gave them the curse, his plan was actually to literally lay waste to the entire planet as far as plant life and hence animal life. He wanted to see a rock when it was all done. The bad gods lost. The curse was applied in a lot of areas. Lots and lots of foliage was destroyed. Huge ancient forests were shrunk. One particular ancient forest was practically wiped out. And it's been 2,000 years since that happened, and in that 2,000 years there are still areas where nothing will grow. Well, somebody somewhere on the planet has very recently developed a treatment, shall we say, or a cure for the land that is affected by this blight, which is simply called the wasting. They're starting to make use of it in the area around where it was developed, but at the same time, now everybody on the planet knows that this thing happened 2,000 years ago, and they know that there are areas that are still affected. Some areas worse than others. There are some areas that are still barren wasteland after 2,000 years. There's other areas where plant life is starting to come back, but certain things just plain don't work. Time to rehydrate. Thank you, Coffee Quills. Keep an eye on me on that one. So, like I said, plant life is starting to come back. Some farming is possible, but it's ugly. Oh, and there's a posture check too. I can do one of those too. Everybody play with the points. That's fun. So, like I said, the advance word that somebody found a cure and is coming. Well, of course, with that advance word, as things tend to happen, there were certain misconceptions spread also ahead of the cure actually being expanded out in the world. There were some stories about what the cure involved that kind of went on ahead with merchants and whatever, and of course things like this tend to shift and change in the retelling. And by the time we get to the area of the world where I'm set up, and there are still areas that are badly affected by the wasting, so people are anxious to get it fixed. The story about what the cure involves has kind of been twisted and turned, and that creates a whole new problem. So that's the angle I'm taking on my cure for the wasting. So, I should have set this up. The cure for mine is squid liquor. Oh, that's interesting. You talk about the ink, or we just talking about like pulverized squid? Okay, Regulus, your your condition is similar. It's a magical curse of withering, though it's more on an individual scale. Yeah, here, the curse doesn't directly affect, in my world, it doesn't affect animals or people, but it not directly anyway. But of course, if you have a forest full of deer and the entire forest gets wiped out, now the deer have nothing to eat and they're going to die off too. So. Oh God, the squid liquor. Okay, is squid liquor a joke that I'm not familiar with? All right, we have one vote for dwarf catapults. All right, knowing how these things work and knowing how not everybody is going to answer, the first one to get to 4 wins. All right, so I have 2 for dwarf catapults. One feels very strongly both ways. 3 for dwarf catapults. 4 for dwarf catapults. Okay, catapults wins. Here's a question. Should I catapult dwarves too? I guess that's an interesting way of boarding a ship, huh? Launch the dwarves into the rigging of an enemy ship from a couple hundred feet away. Gnome punting version 2, yeah. Well, the gnomes are involved here too. The gnomes and the dwarves work very tightly together in my world. I know in a lot of RPGs, the gnomes tend to be defined as elf relatives, actually a little closer to the truer Fey races, but kind of on the elven scale. In my world, the gnomes are the result of the elven gods, and one of the elven gods and one of the dwarven gods getting together to try to make a best of both creature. So the gnomes in my world are a little more dwarf-like, but they are still instilled with a lot of the Fey and elven type attributes and characteristics. As a result, they're just as comfortable living in a forest as they are inside a mountain. And in fact, they're very interested in just things in general. So they're all over the place. Gnomes are everywhere. Goblins are everywhere. There are good goblins and bad goblins. A lot of the goblins, when the goblins were first created, they were instilled with a desire to be accepted by the rest of the folk is what I call all of the intelligent. Read that as player character races in my RPG. Some of the goblins since have decided that the only way to get accepted is to be tough and scare people. So there are goblin tribes that end up being, you know, targets for player characters. But at the same time, goblin is a playable race, so there's goblins all over the world, trying to fit in and usually being ignored, but at least tolerated. Then of course I have my your normal dwarves and halflings and humans and elves. All right, so let's get going. Oh, we have our first showcase suggestion. Do we want to start with a showcase and then jump into a sprint? Why don't we do that? If nothing else, it'll give me a chance to test my changes to hopefully make sure my stream survives the entire day. Oh, there's one further up too. Did I miss another one? Yes, I did. Okay. Q has one. Oh, do I dare start with a Q article? Yeah, let's really tempt fate. We're going to start with the Megacorpolis article. All right, so I'm going to do that. We'll go through the article, then we'll get into a sprint. Then we'll come back to an article. I do 10-minute sprints, so in between sprints we'll do articles. We'll space it out that way all day. So let me tempt fate and bring up this Megacorpolis article. Those of you who were on my stream 2 days ago, in analyzing the catastrophe that happened at the end, I was overloading the OBS stream encoders, so I've made some adjustments to the encoders, to the encoder rates and my resolution that should hopefully make that not a problem. It was compounded by the fact that when the encoder started overloading, it started overdriving the CPU, which started messing up Firefox, which put me in a situation where not only couldn't I couldn't even get at anything on my screen to try to fix the problem. But hopefully that won't happen again. Oh, good start. Candidate for an American America. Wanted dead or alive. Politicians. Vote for me. I'm definitely not ruining everything. President G.N. Eric, last president of the United States. Okay, I assume this is in no way timely, is it? Once the ruling class of nation-states, politicians are now almost extinct, their purpose fulfilled, and their kind no longer needed by their corporate overlords. Using a myriad of psychological tricks with more resemblance to gaslighting than anything else, politicians somehow convinced everyone that they weren't just necessary, but vital and treasured part of the nation they were robbing blind. Corporations still study the techniques used by certain politicians to get entire groups of people to blindly follow them right to the gates of hell, while simultaneously screwing them over at every turn and opportunity. Yeah, that's about right. That's a good start. Good night, democracy. It had a good run, but you can't trust just anyone to know what's best. That's why we have focus groups now. Albert Weiss, corporate historian, The Decline of Democracy, The Rise of Corporate Rule. Although corporations and politicians had a long and mutually profitable arrangement for decades, where corporations set policy and politicians sold their souls for campaign financial aid, it couldn't last forever. In the end, the apathy that politicians counted on to keep filling their pockets and running their little shell game came back to bite them. When the nation-states fell, an event probably incited directly by politicians, and the world's population fled to the megacity, politicians thought they were set. After all, they'd done the corporations' bidding for decades already, no matter what that meant for the suckers voting for them. There was some early noise from these refugees to create some sort of civil governance, going back to the days of old with voting and democracy, and that's when the hammer fell. Politician, as a profession, already about as popular as the scum you wipe off your boot after a trip through the megacorpolis sewer system, was promptly outlawed. Lobbyists in particular thought they'd be safe, but that turned out to be a pretty fatal underestimation of the corporations. The lucky ones were jailed or banished off to the Ashlands, while the unlucky ones were caught by their previous constituents, or worse. I'm going to take a stop and look at the the voting poster here. Vote for me. I would never give you up, let you down, run around, desert you, make you cry, say goodbye, tell a lie, hurt you. By me.me. Okay. We'll get back to the sidebar later. No, we'll do the sidebar now. It's here. Voting. An archaic system of deciding governance, voting has been largely phased out of megacorpolis life when it comes to how the city is run. Despite its importance, the entire something was met with increasing apathy. Q says, by the way, I might have been writing by angry. Typo detected. Yeah, I think you missed a word here, too. Despite its importance, the entire was met with increasing apathy and even resentment in the waning years of the 21st century. With the computer running everything in the megacity now, things are much more straightforward. There's no need to vote because the computer is always there. The computer has it all figured out, and any complaints can be directed to the corporate compliance force. Thank you. Voting was mostly symbolic for several decades anyway, hollowed out by a population that let their politicians get away with murder, sometimes literally, and generally not taking the whole thing very seriously. Corporate money further diluted the whole system. Once it all started pushing in the same direction, that was a wrap. Okay, all right. So that should have been entire system. Yeah, that would help. Most politicians are gone now, lost beneath the crushing boots of time's inevitable march forward. A few old bastards still linger. That probably should be plural. And the ones left really are the worst of the bunch. There's standing bounties on every one of them, and even the contrarians are willing to agree with this one. Oh, I've read your contrarians article. That's saying something, isn't it? Go vote. All right. Well, I will avoid getting into a current political commentary. I think this is funny. It's right in line with all of the other Megacorpolis stuff. I have not followed Megacorpolis yet. Well, I have now. I could have sworn I've been following this. I guess not. We'll hit like on that so I know I've seen it. Yeah, the whole Megacorpolis series, with one exception. I do still have an issue with the. I dare not even speak the name of the article. The article had to do with a long period of computer malfeasance, shall we say? We do not speak that one's name. Yes, we know. Yes, it was a funny article. It was a blast of an article. But we had nothing but trouble. Hopefully, by the way, our week is up and things will start calming down now. We'll again, time will tell. We'll find out. I think time ran out yesterday. I think by my reckoning, it was about a week from then. So we'll see. All right. So that was a blast. And anybody else who hasn't followed. You know what? I'm gonna put the link up myself in the chat just for anybody, so you don't have to go back hunting for it. I highly recommend the whole Megacorpolis series. Q definitely is a very good tongue-in-cheek writer. Um, to old folks like me, it's very, very Monty Python-esque, um, which is a lot of fun. So, okay, so we got that out of the way, and we survived. And my stream rates aren't suffering, and my CPU's not suffering, so these are all good things. Now let's see how long it takes Firefox to recover. Because this was the beginning of the end. But no, that wasn't too bad. Okay, good. Okay, so the vote was for superior firepower. So let me bring that up, and everybody else, get yourselves ready. And we're going to start a sprint in a few minutes, in a second or two, just as soon as things finish coming up. I did hit that button, didn't I? Also, by the way, those of you who have not gotten started, yeah, this thing is still slowly coming, but it's moving. Those of you who have not gotten into World Anvil yet this morning, Dimmy was hard at work last night, and things look different and things have changed. So I will be discovering some of this stuff along with everybody else. Did he? I didn't read the whole release notes. Did he put autosaves in? We'll have to keep an eye on that. But just to warn everybody, the first thing that you're going to see, yeah, there are autosaves. Okay. The first thing that everybody's going to see is this little section up here looks a little different. There's a preview, there's a view. I haven't seen what that does yet. We'll find out in a second. And the save changes is hiding all the way up at the top. It's not, bigger down at the bottom anymore. I was doing some quick editing work during Isaac's stream, and it took me a minute or two to find the save changes button. So what does view do as opposed to preview? Okay, so view is what used to be preview. That's where we are now. Okay. And preview does it without leaving the editor. Let's see what this is going to do. So there's my close. It doesn't show. All right, it doesn't look like it's showing everything. This is my closing footer section, but it missed a few header sections. So I guess there are some issues going on with that. I use the Euclid editor, by the way. I know there was some WYSIWYG. That one, WYSIWYG was fixed. All right, I'm not using that one, so hopefully that won't jump out to bite me. The other thing I noticed, and again, this is another one that took me a second or two to wrap my head around, but that's also because I still haven't finished my morning coffee. The sections section. What did I just do? I just hit something. The sections section now has 3 subsets. Instead of all of the different bits being scroll down in here, he's separated out. You have the four sidebar components that we've always had. Sidebar top, panel bottom, sidebar bottom. He has the footer sections, the footnotes, the full width footnotes, the author notes, and a few other little odds and ends down there. And we have the header section, which is the credits, and that's it. Oh, subheading, that's something new. Appears in the article directly under the title. Is that new? Or has that always been hiding somewhere else? That's an interesting feature. I might actually go back and make use of that in some places. You'll notice that I have, by the way, preloaded some of the BB code that I put in every one of my articles, which is also where my first 74 words come from in this article, so they don't count when I do word counts. Subheading is old, you use it all the time. I guess I've just never come across it. Okay. That, by the way, one of the things I love about this product is there's still things I'm discovering, and that discovery process is absolutely being accelerated by summer camp, because it makes you go in and hunt and look and play for all of these things. So anyway, back to content. A little drop down here too. Show template specific prompts and connections. Okay, so we're going to be talking about a technology. Let's just see real quick before I start writing what I'm going to have to deal with here. Discovery, access availability, complexity, utility, manufacturing, inventor, parent technologies I'm not too worried about. Were there other? No, that's it for technology. Okay, but that, I guess, covers pretty much everything. All right, so is everybody ready to do a sprint? One of these days I'm going to remember to find a timer that I can pop up on the screen. I still don't have one. I apologize for that. But I do have my phone, and it's got a timer, and that's going to have to do. Don't understand why the template prompts are now hidden by default. Actually, I heard either Dimmy or Jan or somebody last night was talking about that, and the mindset was, especially in summer camp, so many people are using the prompts, to help them think about what to write. But because you don't have control over the headings and the exact headings, and you don't have control over the exact order and sequence of things, a lot of people end up putting everything in the vignette and putting their own headings and reordering things and that sort of thing. So they don't actually use the template prompts. I've found I do that about a third of the time. It basically depends. What I'll do is I will answer all the appropriate prompts during, as in this first draft mode. But then I start looking at what the article looks like, and if I don't like what it looks like, if I have to move stuff around, it ends up going up in the vignette. Some things will go to the sidebar that are not in the sidebar. Some things will come out of the sidebar that fall to the sidebar. So I think that was the reasoning behind that was that the prompts are there, but most of the time a large number of people are pretty much doing all their work in the vignette. So doing it this way maximizes the vignette. Delian, you agree that that's what's going on? DM Stretch said that confused. Yeah. A lot of us just use the vignette. You end up filling out the template and then having to reorder. Yeah, so yeah, anybody that ends up doing that a lot, I mean, you're still going to do it, but I guess the difference is, though, it also gives you the ability to maybe open up the vignette a little larger. And right, this sort. By the way, the other thing I do, and again, anybody that's been here knows. Oh, that's interesting. Why is this not going into the? He changed the nature of this field. It's no longer a Euclid box. It's one of the little mini boxes. I always, when I first start out, I put the actual prompt text in here, and then and my thoughts, you know, in the storyteller seed section. This will eventually get deleted. Show this to everyone with access to the article. Oh, now you can turn that on and off too. It used to show up on the top by default. All right, so let's get started. I've procrastinated long enough. It's time to actually start writing. And this will be a 10-minute sprint, and the clock starts now. There's no history. Interesting. Let's make these guys famous. Okay. This changed when the dwarves with the glitter hold. have to put a date on this too, aren't I? You know what? It's not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it that long. That's difficult. The interesting thing, anytime you have a military technology, you know, somebody comes up with an improvement or an enhancement, sooner or later, your enemies will get hold of it too. That's how arms races work. So the dwarves have an advantage now, but that can't last forever. I'm gonna call it 500 years, and even that, you know, is probably too much. So we'll call it 200 years. They can be very secretive, and they live a long time. So it's the original people are still around, possibly. Due to the clan-based kinship of all dwarves, this technology enhancement has spread from the glitter hold. Some people have asked about this word, so I'm going to fix that now. Those of you who are not familiar with tooltips, open bracket tooltip colon a large undermountain dwarven city, close bracket, delves, bracket slash tooltip. When you hover over the word delves, it'll tell you that that means a large undermountain dwarven city. To other dwarven delves, period. How we doing on time, by the way? 2 minutes and 47 seconds to go. Seafarer. Dwarves. Ships. Actually, just on their ships, because even the small ones become deadly here. You can now be a smaller, less well-armed ship on the sea, able to take out a bigger, nastier warship, because you can plunk your ammunition onto it long before they can plunk their ammunition onto you. So this is a critical advantage. A seafarer ship. Rain, fire, acid down upon a sea target long before target has return fire. That'll probably do discovery. Although, you know what? Some of this is going to have to move from discovery. In fact, those last two paragraphs come down under utility. time is up. Everybody gets to finish the sentence they're working on. Now, let's see. When was... Oh, look at that. Yes, last saved a minute ago. So, yes, autosave is in here, folks. Everybody, all hail Dimmy. This doesn't mean we shouldn't all hit the save button every opportunity we remember. But had something horrible happen 2 minutes ago, I would not have lost every word I wrote. All hail Dimmy, yes. Okay, how did people do? Oh, now comes the next fun part. Where is metadata and all that kind of good stuff? Help. Okay, where do I go to find the metadata button? Oh, is that design tag? No, is that it? Oh, open advanced tools and options. How about that? There we go. So he's hiding everything. That actually is good. He makes pages load faster. So how did I do? Metadata. No, I know I have more than 78 words. Is that because my save didn't go through? It says saved. I have to refresh the page. Okay, I can do that. That's unfortunate. So now let's see how we did. And we'll go back and look at everybody. Oh, look at that, exactly 300 words, but I know 74 of them are meta words, so they don't count. Let's see. Dazzly Cat, I just got here, so 0. Okay. It's okay, you'll have another chance. You'll have to refresh the count for the page for the word count to update. Yeah, there were a lot of people discovered that before I did. Regulus, 252 words. Excellent. You finished the vignette of Demolished and Rebuilt Settlement. Very good. Anybody else? Tillers, it's not refreshing yet. The old save button used to refresh for you. Yeah, that's true. Now it doesn't. It just puts a little, but it does put a little note up at the top that tells you that it's saved. So maybe that's why, you know, the reload, it always used to happen. Isaac, Tom, did you also do 300 exactly, or is that a reference to my 300 exactly? And D got about 97. Well, it's early in the morning for me anyway, so I'm quite thrilled with that first start. I now have to go back and hunt for. Let me see if I can do this a smarter way. Because I need to go back and hunt for submit an article for showcase. I need to go back and find, let's see, those are 4 days ago. That was Q's. I need this article now, because we're going to do an article showcase for Kajetan 98. Oh, Isaac was editing a video. Yeah, 300 words exactly. Like I said, though, unfortunately, 74 of them were there beforehand, just from the BB code that I had laid in. So I still have work to do. I'm not going to have a problem. I, by the way, have been running. I checked again this morning. I'm still running an average of 1,200 words per article. I'm on a clip to just about break 40,000 words if I get all 33 prompts done at the rate I'm going. Which, pardon me, which people tell me is crazy, but it's the only way I can do this. Once I get going on these articles, I actually have trouble stopping myself from getting really, really out of hand. Okay, so Kachatan, the article title is The Voice. Voice of the newly elected president. What prompt is this for? Unassuming character, okay. That's interesting. Yes, yesterday I know Laura Bones took over Lorraine's prompt stream, and I noticed on the calendar. I know Laura was supposed to overlap me by an hour, but I just got to notice. I just got to notice that Lorraine is starting. So is she? Are they trading back? Is that what's going on? All right. So anyway, it's the unassuming character article. Are you doing ghostwriting? Okay, so, The Voice. Okay, you won the election, but I'm calling the shots. Understood? You try anything, you will pay. The Voice to a newly elected president. The president isn't the highest authority in the FREE. Do we know what the FREE is? The Federal Republic of Eastern Europe. Country founded after the democratization of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The real power in the Federal Republic is the voice, a mysterious figure pulling the strings. The voice often interferes also in the parliament, and they even made a few audio-only appearances in the public media. Some people tried to use those recordings to determine at least, you have a typo there, at least the voice's gender, but it was highly distorted and nothing could be said about it. Name. I assume this means the name, the voice. You should probably put the voice in quotes here. Was given to them by the public after their first appearance on the radio in 1925. The voice itself never said any name. The voice heard is always the same, so it made people believe that someone immortal is behind it. Others say that there were many voices over the years. Motivations. No one knows the true motivations of the voice. Some say that they like power, while others say the voice is steering the Republic on the course of their choosing. The reason for this is unknown. Possible identities. People were speculating about the identity of the voice since he first appeared. You probably want to change that he to a they, simply because now you're suggesting a gender, and you went through great pains earlier to make it clear that nobody even knows the gender. So you might want to change that to a they. The theories are divided by the two hypotheses of their nature, mortal or immortal. Those identities included such people as, you're gonna torture me now, and I'm part Polish, so I should know better. Joseph Pilsudski, leader of the democratic movement in 1920. Edward Rich, Marshal and Commander-in-Chief of the Polish Army. Bolesław Bierut, socialist activist. And General Władysław Jastrzębski, infamous for crushing the worker riots in Gdansk in the 80s. So how horrible was my Polish pronunciation? These people are only suspected by theorists of being the voice. There is no hard evidence which could be used to prove who was or is the voice. Okay, very good article. Oh, I love this. Age, who knows? Date of birth, who knows? Biological sex, who knows? Eyes, who knows? Hair, who knows? Skin tone, who knows? If I were a little more tongue-in-cheek, I would have answered probably under eyes and hair. But as horrible as most people's. All right, I guess that's good. I guess then. Um, I guess the only I mean this article was clearly designed to get across the point that nobody knows who this person is, and there are huge numbers of questions about who this person is. What might be the only thing that might be interesting, I mean, you obviously don't want to try to solve you don't need to answer the question who it really is. You can leave people guessing on that. It might be interesting, though, instead of just making vague references about how the voice guides the country and redirects the country. I mean, between the quote at the top, which makes it very clear that that's what goes on, and your mention that it messes with the parliament, and that people think this is because the voice wants to do it. An example or two maybe about, and I don't know, maybe some of the possible identities hint at this as well. An example or two, though, of situations where the voice took the country in a direction that was either not necessarily popular, or in a direction that, more importantly, in a direction that it looked like was popular with the people, but not necessarily with the government, until all of a sudden they started changing their minds. Just some sort of little anecdote about how you could see the voice in action might just make this a little more interesting. Other than that, it looks good. There's a couple of little typos, and see, I am following your world. We will give that a like. What am I missing? Yes, poor Polish language, yes. Hello, Aegon. Thank you for coming. You're up early, aren't you? Or late? I'm still having trouble placing exactly who lives where and in what time zone. I associate Aegon with what is for me the late evening, late night cycle, which puts him on the West Coast in my brain. I don't know if that's true or not. But then again, it is 7 in the morning, so if you have a furry alarm clock like I do, 7 in the morning is all you get, weekend or otherwise. Okay, so we're done with that. Oh, I will, as I did before, for anybody else who wants to follow this, because the original went away a long time ago, I will put the article link in the chat, so anybody else that wants to go and give it a like, please do. We're all here to support each other. And now we can come back to superior firepower. I have to open this up again because they closed. Oh, you know what? Before we start the next prompt, what I am going to do, and again, this is where we start to play the balancing games of things. What does the article look like so far? Oh, look at that. This is interesting. Discovery ends up in the sidebar. That's the main part of this article, so it almost certainly does not want to be in the sidebar. So for those of you who are asking, why are we hiding all the prompts? This is exactly why. What needs to happen, and I'm not going to do this as part of the as part of a sprint, but just so I can talk about it and take my time with it. This whole chunk of text is going to come out of here, and it's going to come up into the vignette section. I have some little section blocks here for what will actually be my vignette, but I'm going to put it here, and because I get to move it, now I get the advantage of deciding if I don't want the phrase, if I don't want the title to actually be Discovery, I get to change it. So I can kind of turn this into I can kind of give it my own title. So we're going to call it a new advantage. And header 2s, by the way, are what the section headers generally do. So that's good to know. Let's save that. Let's view that. I could have just brought this one back up. All right. So now that's where it really wants to be. All right. Now again, if I decide that I don't like the word utility, I could move that and change it too. But for now, I'm going to leave that one where it is. Complexity, the catapult itself. So here's another one. This is going to be a big chunk of the article. I don't know that I want it in the sidebar, but I'll finish writing it first to see what happens with that. So let's get back to the article itself. Let's decide where we're going to pick up again. I was going to do complexity, so that's what we'll pick up. All right, so is everybody ready to start sprint number 2? Timer, and ready, set, go. How do we describe this? Trying not to get too super technical in this, by the way. I do have an engineering background. I could get really, really stupid with this. But what I don't want is everybody scratching their heads when they're reading it. going to end up doing a lot of rearranging in this article. I can see it. That'll be enough for that. I'm probably going to end up rearranging a whole raft of this article. These are going to need links. Do I have a glitter hold article yet? I do not. Okay. That one's going to need an article. So, time for the purple button. Glitter hold is a settlement. Delve, I know I have. Because I featured that in an article. And in fact, one of these days I'm going to have to go back and update that article to refer to this one, because the article I wrote about the Lonely Delve was about the artillery brigade of the Lonely Delve. And now I get to make sure that they're equipped with these cool catapults. And is Cliffport done yet? Yes, it is. Good. On the thing. 55 seconds to go, folks. But by the way, for those of you that are not streaming, those of you streaming, keep writing. That are sprinting, rather, keep writing. Oh, I'm gonna have to come up with a name. time is up. What I started to ask is, again, I had to, as I mentioned, I think I had to drop the resolution on my broadcast to make sure that I didn't have some of the catastrophes that I've had before. I might have actually dropped things a bit too much. I changed two things in the easier direction. It looks to me like OBS and Twitch are having absolutely no trouble. But I am curious, is anybody seeing any skipping or hopping? And is the screen resolution any noticeably worse than it's been on previous things? If you guys can give me any little bit of feedback on that, because unfortunately I can only see what I see, I can't see what you see. I might be able to back off on one or the other of the two settings that I tweaked. Eventually, again, I'll have a new system in here, and then I can put things back to full normal. Okay, Tiller is 167 words. Let's see, I was at exactly 300 before, right? So let me force a save here again. And do a page refresh. Aegon, 292 words, almost 2,000 on this article. Yeah, I personally consider 2,000, by the way, the hard cutoff. Those of you who are using the review channel on Discord, you know, where you review the three articles, the last three articles in the list, and then you get to put your own in, so you're guaranteed to get 3 people to give you reviews. That channel actually has a 2,000 word limit, so that people don't end up having to analyze your book. So let's see, how did we do? 594, and then practically another 300 words in there. Look at that. Okay, Aegon 292. Isaac looks good to me, but admittedly I put all my streams into 360p. Okay, yeah, I knocked mine down to 720. I had been doing 1080. So like I said, that was one of the changes that I made. But even in order to do that, and in order to get the encoders happy, I was starting with the 1600 by 900 raw screen, breaking that down to 1280 720 or to 1080p for broadcast. So what I did instead was, first of all, I knocked the base screen down to 1280 720, and then that's getting knocked down to 720p. But again, that was, those 2 steps might have been more than I needed to do. So I might be tempted to play with it again, or depends on how quickly I think I'm getting my new system. I might just leave it the way it is if nobody sees any real difference. Let's see, Aegon at 1703 currently will probably break 2,000 on this one. Yeah, that is going to be a big one. I think my biggest one right now personally is 2004 words. But again, some of that is BB code, so it's really not so bad. Dazzly Cat. So anybody else have numbers here? Let's see. Oh, Regulus, another 201. You finished the infrastructure and almost the history of your settlement. That's good. Tiller's 167. I said that. I think Aegon. I think that caught all of them. Yeah, it does count the BB code as basically it looks for spaces. And I mean, yeah, the word counter is pretty dumb. It looks for spaces and punctuation and things between spaces and punctuation or words. Just as an example, when you know what? I can show you this real quick. Here's an article. I've put the initial BB code into again into my articles when I'm getting ready to start them up. This is going to take a second, but that's okay. That's okay. We're all here to learn and teach. Yeah, I think Firefox is still having trouble. I've got one instance of Firefox that's watching that's doing my stream manager, my host, my modbot, and World Anvil. I think the next thing I'm going to try is taking one of these off into another browser, or at least another browser instance, to see if I can speed up this problem, because I don't have this much trouble loading World Anvil normally. All right, so here's the other article that I was going to possibly do today. And if we do a quick run through it to see what's here, all right, I have a little, nothing but BB code here. All right, there's no text in there. This text is here. All right, it's just the article, the prompt itself, and a few odd words. You know, for that. There's not going to be anything at all filled in here because I haven't touched it yet. The only other place where there will be things is in the header section. Again, I have just my BB code placeholder for my opening quote. And in the footer, I have my BB code placeholders for the closing quote. Doesn't look like much at all, does it? It is 74 words. Alright, so it is clearly counting the BB code as words. I guess if we wanted to make absolutely sure, I could delete this chunk. And if I delete this, it would literally be down to, and you know what, let's do this experiment. I know what I'm going to write, so I can get rid of that. And we'll save it. And we'll refresh it. The only words that are not actually BB code right this minute are the words opening quote, author, closing quote, author. So if there's more than 6 words in this article right now, it's counting BB code. And the answer is... Come on, you can do it. Well, we can see it there. It says there's 35 words written. So, yes, it's counting BB code. This is still struggling, okay. Let's see, what's going on here? Here's my article for the technology from the world's history prompt. Okay. Hopefully we'll get to that. Did the stream just crap out for anyone else? Well, okay. Oh, If it did it for everybody, then we're going to blame Twitch. Yeah, it definitely counts BB code, but it's very hard not to. Exactly. Like I said, all it knows is it knows punctuation and spaces. It also counts the title and excerpt, so that might be happening too, yeah. I think they're related to the title. Okay, so let's get back to what we were doing here. I don't need that. I can make that go away. I do need to come back to the stream manager. Oh, yes. This is something else. Anybody have any information about what Network Error 2000 is? That might have something to do with the glitch that everybody just saw. I know writer Greg has this happen on his stream manager all the time. I have learned, though, not to worry about it too much. That you guys, that things definitely do come back. Okay, who do we have up next? We have 2 more articles up. And a half an hour to go. So let's try to get through these 2 articles, and then we'll hopefully be able to call it a day. Okay, this is Regulus Viken, sorry. This one is my entry for the religious leader prompt. I was going back and forth on either this one or the well-known settlement, but apparently really want a wide variety of opinions on this one. I hope it is enjoyable for you. Since it is a character, it is rather long. Be warned. Okay, we have been warned. One of my playtesters has just joined us. Good morning, Nacrom. Okay, let's see what Regulus has in store for us. All right, everybody else, you back to normal on Twitch, or everything looks good? Because I didn't see any drop in frame rates. I didn't see any interruption from this end, so I have to hope it was Twitch. I guess Obera Ulussant is the name of the person that we are going to be doing. Saint Obera Halvir Ulussant, aka the Sun's Raven. Okay, I know nothing about your world, so let's hopefully we'll go through this. Okay, yeah, it's a big article. I see there's a lot of stuff in the sidebar, but it's the basic and common stuff, so we'll get back to that. Okay, and so the light of the great and honorable Solaire or Solari will wash the sins of the past into memory, that they may bring upon his brilliance in their redemption, that they will bring upon his salvation. For even the darkest souls can be purified with but a mote of his light. The high priest of Solari, Gansreach, just a personal thing. The light gray on darker gray text can be a challenge. You might want to play with the contrast in your quote sections. Obera Ulussant, firstborn daughter of Vailera and Adenon Ulussant, had a short and eventful life planned for her the moment she came into the world. Obera Ulussant had a short and eventful life planned for her the moment she came into the world. Was she thinking about it when she was born? And that might want to be a herself, just to make it clearer if she's the one that's thinking. Her family of House Ulussant, the fanatical group of demon worshippers, sought to use the immense innate magical power in her blood as a sacrifice to bring about the second calamity and destroy the hated enemy of Armoria in one fell swoop. All right, I'm getting a feel for what's going on. I'm guessing it's not so much that she had a short and eventful life planned for herself, as much as her parents had a short and eventful life planned for her. Though the world seemed to have other plans for the young soul, as she was gifted with immortality upon being sacrificed, and resurrected into the burning hellscape brought about by the Colossus of Elor, a creature most foul that would go on to terrorize the entirety of the Cerulorian continent for millennia to come. Okay, we have tooltips here. Good. All right. Elor's magical ability system. Explanation of the world's portals and immutables. Northernmost primary landmass. Right. These other things, I guess, are just bolded. She was lost without her supposed purpose and a family that she could not trust any longer, condemned to walk the burning world for eternity. That was until she found the light of Solari, still burning bright in the last Solarian city, Snowcrest. And though she did not truly believe in the dogma of such a being, she took up his mantle to inspire the nation to stand against the darkness which sought to consume them, a darkness that she had helped to create. Physical description. General physical condition. Obera's physical form was eternally locked at 30 years once she was endowed with immortality. She is described as being remarkably unmarred. If that's unmarred, you need another R in there. With not a blemish to be seen, and was to be seen to be astonishingly good shape and condition from then on. Her elders made extensive efforts to be positive that she was in very good physical health to ensure a proper sacrifice. Obera also possesses the hallmarks of the Ulussant bloodline's corruption. With deep crimson eyes, primarily black hair with red highlights being a dead giveaway to anyone who previously interacted with the Ulussants. She additionally possesses a long scar across her left eye going from her forehead to her upper jawline. You say up here that she was remarkably unmarred, and now she's got a long scar across her eye. They might be contradictory, unless you change remarkably unmarred to mostly unmarred, or with very few blemishes, because to most people a long scar across the middle of the eye would count as a blemish. Special abilities. Obera possessed the ability to channel and manipulate Mejur, part of the magic system, and took specifically to the school of Detram. Alright, that's just a placeholder again too. In particular, she quickly deviated to fire magics as a replacement to dark magics, since she despised using the dark due to its ties to her family, despite it being objectively the far more powerful and potent of the two in her repertoire. You might want to just break this sentence up a little bit. It kind of you have these cascading phrases that kind of take you from A to B to C to D, and it gets a little much. But I'll leave you to figure that out. I mean, it's okay, but it's like I said, due to its ties to her family, I was ready to stop there, and then we got carried on a little bit further. So. Additionally, Obera was immortal, meaning that she could not die by any normal means. Only once very specific circumstances have been met, or if she is slain by an especially otherworldly foe, would she be permanently killed. In fact, it is believed that her specific condition was met at the time of her death, as opposed to some strange forces. Okay, that's right, because I guess she's a saint now, so she did die. Obera in her first 20 years always wore the robes of her family, House Ulussant, even up to her sacrifice. After this, she ditched the family attire for her iconic black-gray long coat embroidered with raven's feathers. Aside from this, she wore loose-fitting and rugged pants suited for traveling. Alongside a set of heavy boots, she was also known to be quite skilled with her rapier, a sidearm that she carried throughout her journeys, though she was admittedly no master swordsman, as she preferred to blast opponents with fire magic. Yeah, I guess fire magic, sword. As long as I'm not like in the middle of a library or someplace exceptionally flammable, I think the fire magic wins pretty much every time. Alright, looking back at the chat real quick. You do say the bolded text is future articles that aren't drafted yet. That's fine. You're editing as you go. That's good. I do that all the time. It's the best way. Mental characteristics, personal history. Obera Ulussant, from the moment of her birth, was groomed to be a perfect sacrifice by her family of nobles in House Ulussant in their efforts to bring about the will Valerius Koenig, efforts that would spur the creation of the Valerius Conclave. Again, very long sentence. You'll hear writer Greg say if it takes you more than 2 breaths to speak a sentence, then you probably want to break it up. Somewhere around the middle, right around the the sacrifice by her family of nobles in House Ulussant period. You'll have to rearrange the little bit of it that's after that, but you have it just like I said, it's just long. Particularly, her family was interested in her astonishingly strong magiric potential resulting from generations of her family bloodline, strengthening the dark magics originally gifted them by the Valerius Koenig himself in exchange for their service. Another long sentence. By the way, I am also extremely guilty of long run-on sentences. So I've started to train myself to be sensitive to it. So if it sounds like I'm getting a little harsh in this department, I apologize. But the end result is almost always a little more readable if you shorten some of these really long ones down. Sometimes you can't, and if you can't, you can't. This dark gift made her, in their view, a perfect candidate to serve as a catalyst for a demonic invasion, as several demon lords would be foolish not to take the opportunity to claim a portion of Balrius's power. However, as they and all of Allure would soon learn, it was not demons that would answer their summons. Uh-oh. Do I hear a dun-dun-dun coming in here? The Allurian Compendium, a history. Once Obera turned 30 years old, her elders sought about bringing the calamity to fruition, taking her to a secret location within the High Palace of Armoria, their most hated enemy, under the cover of a feigned siege. It was upon that altar that her life as a Ulussant ended, clutching the doctrine of her family in her gritted teeth. Obera the Forsaken. When she next awoke, she was covered in blood and soot, as the once unbreakable city of Armoria fell around her the altar that she was slain upon, with the all-annihilating force of the Colossus of Allure looming over the landscape in the distance. She was without her purpose, and came to find years later that this event cost her family almost everything, that they had become a shamble of what they once were. She discovered the hard way that to claim their namesake any longer would mean being ostracized and alienated from society. So she drifted for millennia, wandering the Sailor that she helped to create, a land devoid of hope, all the while she tested the ever-evolving darkness within. The Redeemer and the Redeemed. The next time society would see Obera was when she made the journey across the continent to Snowcrest, the last large city on Solor, left in the wake of the Colossus. It was there that she met the city's then High Priest of Solari, Kael Gansreach, who showed her that nothing could truly break the Allurian spirit so long as they had something to believe in. Mere days after this fateful meeting, the immortal Obera would use the immense and shunned magical power that had been festering within her all this time to repel the Colossus single-handedly, a feat that took the combined effort of all the city's prior weapons and magics. Though she could never deal it a lethal blow, she learned that for all its mindless obliteration, it showed respect to those who would show it world-changing power. It was with this single act of selflessness, after several lifetimes of isolation, that the people could see the light within even the greatest darkness, just as the word of Solari had dictated. From this act, Obera saw something that she had been missing all the time, a family, perhaps not by blood, but a family invested in interest. Her induction into the Solar Monastery accompanied her receiving of the title of saint, and her new purpose became clear. She would go on to rally and inspire the people of Solora. With the words of the son, exact words she didn't truly believe. But their message was made clear to her and those she taught. She led her followers to great prosperity, repelling the Colossus when it came too close, and reclaiming land once thought to be lost. Her deeds will come to be remembered by all of Selor, even after her death, all had thought it impossible. Mental trauma, despite her redemption at the hands of her trusted friend, Kale. She could never truly shake the truth of what her family had done to the people she now sought to help. The fact haunted her all throughout her immortal existence, directly leading her into driftier lifestyle after discovering exactly what had happened on that fateful day. Family ties, under social. Obera's family, House Ulussant, slowly died off after the Colossus of Allure was risen up from her sacrifice. As of about 800 years before the second calamity, the remainder of her family members had either died or disappeared. The full list is as follows, only including those members remaining after the fracture of their house and descending by age. Adenon, heart failure due to age and stress, died at an astonishing 5,012 years old. Obera, as described herein. Linnell, dead, presumed to have been slain by Adenon as punishment. Charth, missing, not presumed dead, due to her vampirism. Jurs, missing, presumed dead. Cecilia, dead, slain by the Delamut, the Sovereign Lord, during the Sovereignty Crisis. Theril, dead, slain by Adenon as punishment for failing an important task. Religious views. Upon being inducted into the Solar Monastery in Snowcrest, Obera became exceptionally familiar with the doctrine of Solari. Although she herself never truly took the doctrine with great fervor, she chose instead to embody the meaning set within, especially the themes of redemption and individuality. And speech. Obera's speech patterns always seem to indicate an underlying sense of melancholy, in part due to her past trauma, but mostly due to her societal rejection upon learning the truth of her family and everything they had sought to accomplish. This was sustained even after her redemption at the hands of Kale Gansrich, and followed her like a shadow through the rest of her life. I know you said you're still working on this and you have a lot of other articles to write. There are a lot of names and a lot of events that get mentioned here. I would suggest you did it in a few places with the tooltips. You might want to do a run through and at least until you get around to the articles, throw in some quick tooltips on what some of these things are. What is the Sovereignty Crisis? There was a second calamity up here. Again, they might each be worth just a phrase to help a reader figure out what's going on. Okay, divine classification: saint, species, Elorians, honorary occupation, title, the sun's raven, embodied redemption. We have dates for life, circumstance of birth. Okay, we heard that. Circumstances of death. Okay, yeah. Obera, according to official records, died twice. Once as the sacrifice brought the Colossus of Allure into being, and again as the second calamity reared onto Allure, appearing to falter to sudden cardiac arrest. Is that mentioned anywhere in the history? You might want to. You do start talking about the second Second calamities mentioned under family ties. I don't recall if it's here. I'll let you think about that. Birthplace, current residence. I don't have to read every little bit of this. Beneath a statue of her in Snowcrest. Current residence, yeah, okay, the grave that she's in, okay. Eyes crimson red, that was mentioned. Her hair, skin tone white. Okay, let's see the quote. Irony is the worst company. Out of all my family, I got to live through the end of it all. Linnell, eldest brother too weak to protect what he loved. Charth and Jur, twin brothers, both touched by further corruption. One of vampirism and one of direct demonic presence. Cecilia, poor thing, innocence taken by a tyrant lord's quest for dominion. And Therel, the boy with foolishness to match ambition. Father Adanon, too old to bear the weight of the world any longer, waiting for a prophecy that never came. And me, Obera, the traitor that couldn't even die right, and plunged these people into such hardship. I got to live. A sick irony pervades my very existence, and ensures that every day I do not forget its presence. And then we have known languages. Okay, so it was only after she became immortal that she started picking up a few other languages from her basic, I guess. Very interesting article. You bring up a lot of history that, that interested readers are going to want to know about, which is why, like I said, I mean, again, if it's early in the world-building process, then eventually questions will be answered. Only you know that. But you might want to consider, like I said, a tooltip or two just to make this a little more capable of telling a story on its own. Watch the long sentences. Like I said, as somebody who does it all the time myself, it's something I'm constantly on the alert for. As far as covering the ideas and concepts, everything is here. Definitely fits the category as a religious leader. So let us give this a like. I'm assuming you're going to be carrying on. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more about your world as time goes on. So we'll throw a follow there too. Okay, I have 9 minutes. And there was one more article in the queue. And this was Kaleidashi. Will help with pronunciation on the name. This is the technology from the world's history. So I would like to read this because I want to see how one of these looks from somebody else, since that's the article I was working on myself. So we'll see if we can squeeze this in. In the meantime, I would like everybody to start thinking about, oh yeah, you're quite welcome again. By the way, the other thing, especially if there's anybody new here who's not sure they want to submit articles, the purpose of putting an article in for World Showcase, or for World Showcase, for us to read or showcase and comment on. And you're going to hear this from every other streamer that does this. The comments that we make, or the things that we point out, we're not, some of them might sound nitpicky and technical and especially grammatical. And especially if English isn't your first language, it might seem like you're making a lot of mistakes or whatever. Don't take them that way. These articles should be first draft kind of articles, which means they're going to have mistakes. They're going to have typos. They're going to have run-on sentences. They're going to have, odd trains of thought that need to be cleaned up. Sometimes it's very hard for you to see yourself, even if you read the article 2 or 3 times. I know I've had a couple, just in the last couple days, I've had articles that I have read 5, 6, 7 times. And the first time somebody else reads it, here's a typo, here's an error, here's a place where I changed a city name and forgot to change it. So you need other people to look at it. You need to hear other voices speaking it. That's the only way to improve your, for all of us, it's the best way to improve your writing, your fastest way. And that's the service we're all providing. It's to help you end up with a better product. Okay, so go to the Kaleidoscope System homepage. Okay, so this is the Kaleidoscope System, and Kaleidoshi. I see a little vague Germany kind of ending in there. I'm not sure. Okay, this is a good size article. We will get through this. In the meantime, people start thinking, do we want to raid Laura/Lorraine, whoever it is that's broadcasting there, or do we want to raid Hefe in 6 or 7 minutes? But in the meantime, let's get through this article. Harnessed crystal fire. The use of fire crystals, volatile crystals which are charged with high amounts of energy, as a power source was a scientific milestone for the rule. I assume that's a people. Species of sapient reptilians, okay? History, controlled combustion after the invention of the steam engine in 1707 NZR. All right, UTD, I assume, is your since the world began date, or it's at least since history started. The fact that combustible plants and fossil fuels were a limited resource on their world made the rule look for alternatives. In 1583 NZR, the first attempts were made to control the explosions caused by the volatile Pikvaki. These involved slowly drilling a narrow hole into the surrounding rock to expose the crystals within to a limited amount of oxygen. Some of these experiments ended with the rock crust cracking open, leading to numerous deaths and destruction of valuable equipment. However, when the hole was drilled carefully enough, the reaction could be limited to a comparably small, long-burning flame. Vacuum cells. Another major breakthrough was the development of airtight vacuum containers. By removing the air from the workspace, it was possible to completely remove the rock crust, from the reactive crystals. Those could then be encased in glass containers with a valve to control the airflow, making it possible to release higher amounts of energy without risking an overreaction. So I take it these crystals are kind of like geodes almost, with a stony outer shell, and the crystals are on the inside. And are they solid inside, or is there just some inert gas inside? Or that would be something that would be interesting, was maybe to describe a little more what these look like. Applications, utility. As a heat source, the most common use in civilian technology is to heat up air or water with released energy. Besides using the heat itself, this also makes it possible to convert the stored energy to electricity via moving turbines. Energy rays. The emitted energy can be focused by using mirrors or lenses, creating directed rays of intense heat, light, or other radiation. These rays have become a widespread tool for cutting or welding materials. Since they are also robust to refraction, they are often used for precise measurements. Propulsion, just like the photons from Laravok, transfer energy to Renewal's tectonic plates upon impact. Photons released from the Pikvaki cells can push a vehicle forward. For this purpose, many cells need to be lined up and apply this effect over a large area to prevent any one cell from releasing too much energy at once. Weaponry. The ability to control the energy output of these crystals makes it possible to weaponize the crystals in a reliable manner. Regulating the airflow allows the user to determine if and when an explosion will take place. Energy rays of different diameter and intensity also see frequent use in ray guns. Laws and regulation in Real Sioux society. The use of Vok Pigmumi is regulated by law in order to limit the risk of accidents and abuse for criminal purposes. No fireworks, huh? The quantities of legal amount of Vok Pigmumi stored in the device depends on its application. The crystal size is generally limited by the power that is plausibly required to run the device, which is why industrial or institutionalized applications are less restricted than those intended for consumers. The securer force, in contrast, is authorized to use considerably higher amounts of energy. I assume the securer force is the military group. So, mobile devices, are these currencies? What are these numbers? Energy, need a little more description on this table to identify what it is we're looking at. They look like power. I'm guessing these are power requirements to do things. Mobile devices, heavy machinery, and vehicles. Or this is what the legal limits are, which is why this is here. Just a little more about what these units are. I don't know what a WH is. Applications. After the final war, the creation of weapons with blast radius of more than 8 meters was outlawed. It became equally illegal to intentionally leave out or damage filters around the crystal which block harmful wavelengths such as X-rays or gamma rays. Exceptions to this rule were granted for certain medical or industrial applications, but only after a strictly regulated approval process. That said, only the securer force is authorized to officially weaponize Vok Pigmumi. Very good, very interesting. I can imagine what's interesting is you're using the same source for everything from ray guns to vehicle moving. Oh, look at that. We have a spammer. Not anymore, we don't. Okay. It's watt hours. Okay. All right. So it's actually common measurements. You might want to spell it out though, just to, and you might want to just put a little title on this explaining. Again, are these limits or are these typical device needs? Just a little something to explain what exactly the table is getting across. I mean, obviously, you got bigger numbers for the as you go this way, and bigger numbers as the equipment gets heavier. But otherwise, very good. Follow the world, and we'll like the article. There really wasn't much else. There might have been a typo or two. Again, you definitely describe the technology. You throw some dates on it. It's pretty widespread use of technology. So all in all, pretty good. I like it. Okay, so who are we going to raid? Who are our choices? Because it is 12 o'clock. It's time to raid. Let's see who our choices are. We have Lorraine, but that might be Laura, and Hefe. Okay, it's the upper limits that are allowed. Okay. Anybody? Any preferences? Again, you guys are the ones that will be on the raid, so who do you want to go talk to? Nobody cares. Okay, well, you know what? I raided Hefe last time, so we're going to raid Lorraine. And let's get the raid started. My raid call is Trample, with as many A's and M's as you'd like to add. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all for coming, and I'll be here again tomorrow morning. Don't forget Trample, and here we go.